The first, I think, let's start with you, Vanessa. The first question is, I mean, you kind of came right out of the gates doing amazing. What do you contribute that success to? What is it that you did? Because we know, I think, let's start with
two
you,
out of
Vanessa.
every three agents that get their real estate
Is,
license
I mean,
don't
you
survive
kind of
past
came
5
right
years.
out of
That's the stat.
the gates doing
I think
amazing.
it's 3 years. I just
What,
enhanced 5.
so what is it that you did that helped you become successful so quickly?
Well, I think number one, I have the attitude is failure is not an option. And I think that I've always been somebody who's taken whatever it is I do and tried to overachieve. I had owned my own businesses in the Caribbean. So for me, it was just really getting out there and being in front of people. So since I owned a coffee shop and I owned a restaurant, I decided that, well, I have to learn how to use the MLS. I have to learn to do all this. So why don't I just go to coffee shops, hang out in coffee shops, and work and learn my stuff? And as I was doing it, people started talking to me, and then I would talk to them. And truthfully, I probably did it all backwards. And if Sheila would hear this now, I would take their checks like the minute we saw the house. Okay, you want the house? Great, give me your checks. And I just did that, and I'd put them on the phone with my lender, and we'd walk away and we'd do a contract. And that's kind of how I started. And I just didn't really think that failure was an option. I didn't put in my head that there was too many agents that didn't succeed. I only worried about the one that did succeed, and I was going to be that one.
That's awesome. So what about you, Lori? What, I mean, I honestly, I do know the consumption of your time being a managing broker for a state, although it's not as big a state as Texas. How are you reaching ICON and juggling the responsibilities of broker?
Well, it takes a village, right? I think that when we moved from the previous brokerage that I was at to EXP a little over a year ago, it was me, one agent, and my assistant, and she been my right arm and my left brain. And if it wouldn't have been for her, of course, it would have been a huge struggle. But I think it's just more than anything, it's like Vanessa said, believing in yourself and not doubting what you're doing. And just forging forward. Don't take no for an answer. And I never ever did anything the way other people did here in West Virginia. I've always done things in a different way. And I focus on my business. I worry about me. I don't worry about what other people are doing. Because when I do that, then all I am doing is taking away from myself, my business, and my clients, and the people that are important to me. So I focus on me, and I forge ahead, and I try different things. Don't be afraid to try something. Don't be afraid to try video. Don't be afraid to try video text messages to clients. Don't be afraid to try anything at all, because you'll learn from it. And if it doesn't work, try something else. But the West Virginia agents, we started with just me and one other. Now we have 30 agents, and I just work really hard with them, and they're supportive of me, and I'm supportive of them.
That's awesome. Sam, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I apologize. I had a little technical difficulty here, but I'm on. So.
Oh, cool. Well, so let's go back to Sam, and Sam, give us a little info, a little bio on you, and tell us what makes you successful. What's your number one thing that makes you successful as an icon?
Well, just a little background. I got into real estate 14 years ago, part-time. I was flipping houses, didn't like the realtors in the REO world. So I got my license. I was a full-time Cleveland firefighter. And then about 3.5 years ago, I didn't want to juggle things anymore. So I jumped into real estate full-time. I would say the number one thing that makes me successful as an icon agent is planning. And that is the complete planning cycle. That's the the deciding, I do a reverse planning schedule, kind of like from the 12-week year, or that kind of philosophy. And what I like to do is begin with the end in mind. What do I want to accomplish? And then I do my backward planning from timelines. And really, I see a lot of people that formulate a plan or goal setting, and then they don't follow through with the building the plan and making sure they stick to it. So building my plan and sticking to it according to my priorities is the number one thing for me.
That's awesome. I love that you do the 12-week year. I did that last year. Hence I made Icon. And I also have a vision board sitting up there and sits in front of me every day. And my husband and I got married 6 years ago, and we are now moving into our property on 10 acres, barn and a house. And my husband's a horse trainer. He's never owned his own property with his own barn and house. So it's kind of cool. He's a licensed realtor also. So we just kind of had to put our plan together and put our vision board up there, and every day just do the same thing every day. The one thing I do, I think for me, is tell me, if you give me your database, I'll show you how to jumpstart a dynamic business. There's a myth that if we call our friends and family, they're not going to be welcoming. I teach that. I used to teach that all the time on databases. Agents would complain, oh, my clients, when you're new in the business, my clients won't, they don't want me to call them. And I go, have they ever said that to you? So my clients literally call me on a regular basis, refer to me on a regular basis now. So I think that's what's made me successful is my database. I used to do open houses. I used to do internet leads. I just did away with all that and down my goals with the 12-week year. It's actually a book, y'all, and it's really cool. Shows you how to plan out your 12 weeks. It's really cool how to run your business that way. Anyway, I'm going to turn it over to the agents, if that's okay with y'all, unless y'all have anything else to input, and see if they have any questions.
No,
Oh,
that would be
that's
great.
awesome.
Hey guys, any questions for us?
Yeah, I'm just curious, where is that 12-week year?
You can get that on Audible. I have it on Audible. I also follow the 12-week year, amongst other things. I've always been a big person of the Miracle Morning, as well. And I think that if you get up early and you do all that and you listen to your university on wheels, which is your car, and, I know for all those people who are big music heads out there, it's great. But I think if you take the time to listen, as you're driving, because we all have to drive everywhere, everything's audible. I mean, grab that book and you'd be surprised at how much you absorb as you're driving or as you're working out or whatever it is that you're doing, where you have some time to be learning simultaneously while you're doing kind of monotonous sort of activity.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. The 12-week year is just there's so many books, so many tools that you can come into groups like this and find out some things will resonate with me and some things won't. So the 12-week year I listen to, and this is how I do most books, I will always listen to on Audible first, because it's just, like Vanessa says, you have the ability in your car, or there's certain things that you're doing. I was at a home inspection of new construction. There wasn't a whole lot for me to do, and I'll listen to a little bit of Audible. If it resonates with me, then I'll make that purchase. And the 12-week year became so important to me that I actually now am a certified instructor of 12-week year. So you can go to the 12-week year website. They have a workbook and a lot of things of that nature. But what I really like is, it's not just the 12-week year. There's all kinds of tools like that, and you just have to find out what it is that speaks to you and what you can kind of follow and implement in your life. And she mentioned the Miracle Morning. I had Hal Elrod, the author of that, here in Cleveland not too long ago, and I'm a big subscriber to that. And so it really is about, what do you want to implement in your life, and go down that path and really embrace it.
I have to say also that I have an app on my phone that's Motivate, because in our business sometimes things can be hard. Sometimes things don't go the way we want them to go or the way we would love for them to go in our transactions and in our relationships with our clients and other agents. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves that we are really daggone good at what we do. Right? Don't doubt yourself, and don't let other people make you feel like it's your problem if you know you're doing a great job. And so I get up every morning and I open up an app on my phone that's called Motivate, and I went ahead and paid for the subscription, and I listen whatever I'm feeling that morning. If I need a kick in the butt, or if I need something that's uplifting, I can choose what I feel like I need. Sometimes it's more than one thing, and sometimes it's just one thing. You can actually listen to things and that will help lift you up and remind yourself that you are good at what you do and you're worthy of everything that you're giving and getting.
Lori, I agree with that. I have Pep Talk. So you use another one. I use Pep Talk. So if you like kind of that sort of motivation, it's pretty phenomenal as well.
What I just read recently, I do the 12-week year too, and I do Audible. So it's interesting how we all have these same common things that we do, but I do Audible because I've been living in the boonies the last 2 years, and so I'm in the car a lot more than anticipated. But a book, Think Differently, Live Differently, I have actually bought that book and given it to people, and it really is, it helps you with your mindset and who you are. And so I really recommend that book. It's by Bob Hamp. He's a Christian counselor, but it really talks about your source and who you are. And I definitely know that real estate is my strength, and I love it. And the 12-week year just kind of, helped me organize, because I'm one of those agents, hair on fire type agent. And so I've had to like narrow my focus. And that's why I said I quit doing the open houses and internet leads. The only reason I quit doing that is because my return on my investment is best with my database. So it doesn't mean that internet leads and open houses don't work. I started my business in Northern California on open houses, and I built a great business in 2 years before I moved back home to Texas. So definitely think differently, live differently, 12-week year. And The Miracle Morning, I have that book also. So I love that we all have a lot of this in common, and we all have.
It's interesting.
Go ahead.
I was going to say there's also one other book on Audible I like to listen to over and over again, and it's called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. So, when you're in your real estate business, there are certain things that all of us do that got us to where we are. But if you're anything like me, the more I do, the more I want to do. So I liked that book because it reminded me, don't be complacent with where you are if you want to do more. And the things that got you where you are worked great, but if you want to do more than that, you have to change it up a little bit. So it's a pretty cool book to listen to too.
All right, well, that one's next on my list.
I think what's really important there to take away is, and like I said, there's tons of tools, but when I said my number one thing is planning, I probably should qualify that with mindset. I never have a bad day. Someone just sent me a message and asked me how my day was going, and I said, it's going great. How about yours? And they said, how come your answer is always it's going great? I'm like, well, because it's always going great. And it's a mindset for me. There are bad things that happen in real estate. We have deals that sometimes don't come together the way we like, or we deal with someone that, maybe doesn't appreciate us the way we'd like to be. But I don't let those things bother me. What I do is I always come with a positive attitude. I always look for the best in things, and it really changes, what you put out is what you get in. I've heard all of these cliche things, but they're all true for me. So I think that mindset, and everybody mentioned with the books that they're talking about reading, the mindset is vital.
I absolutely agree with that. Right now, I started a new one today, actually, called The Miracle Equation. I flip back and forth between podcast and books. I think it's really important. As agents, we're so busy taking care of everyone else that we sometimes forget to take care of us. So my question to each of you guys, what are you doing to take care of yourself? Like I found last year that because of my new family situation, I started going to the gym after I dropped all the kids off for school. And starting January, I went back to 4 a.m. The reason I went back to 4 a.m. is because absolutely positively nobody bothers me. My phone doesn't ring. I don't get texts. I can actually do my
That's great.
hour workout in an hour, which it was extending to, it was an hour and 10, then an hour and 15, then an hour and a half, and it was getting to 2 hours. And I can't do that. It doesn't work for my life. So I went back to 4 a.m. and making sure that I'm taking care of myself 100%. And as I'm doing that, I see the increase of my production again and everything like that. So I think if you are making sure that you're taking care of you and putting some of yourself first, because we are obligated to our clients and we are obligated to our families and we are obligated to the plethora of other people that come in. And as icons, we naturally want to help. So if somebody's calling me or texting me, I'm taking that time to help them. And I sometimes am supposed to be doing something for myself or something else, and I'll stop just so that I can help somebody. So in order to do that and keep my glass continuously full so that it does overflow for everyone, is that I have to take care of myself. So I recommend kind of making sure each and every one of you doing that or challenge yourself to do that.
It's a really good point.
I agree.
Hi, my question is for the panel, and I'm from Texas, so it's great to see Texas so very well represented up there. So go Texans, right? Or not Texans, the football team, but Texans. Um, my question is, tell me about your team size.
For me, it's me, myself, and I am my transaction coordinator. So I do on an average of about 40 to 60 transactions a year. It just depends on each year. I've actually kind of jumped up in some price ranges. So when you're doing that, it takes a little bit more time. So I would just kind of look at you and what you're capable of. I would also say go back and look at your last 6 months. And it's really in this business about what you tolerate. What are you tolerating? So, and that's how directly to what you made in the past 6 months. So in real estate, if you go back from July 2019 to December 2019 and you don't like what your paycheck was, it's because that's what you tolerated. You were tolerating that amount. So now you got to figure out what your new amount is and how you're going to push yourself. I see someone has asked, how do we reach icon status? What are the figures? The first thing in achieving icon, I think the other icon agents would agree in this, is knowing when your recap date is. So when is your restart date? And then you've got to know what your entire last year was. So how fast did it take you to cap? Then you've got to take that time frame to the next cap date and say, okay, I got to do an additional 20 transactions. How am I going to do those additional 20 transactions? What was my average the year before? Are you going to push yourself to get to the next level? Are you going to be out there? Because secret agents, we don't do well as secret agents. We have to be out in the world. So that's why we suggest people to go to coffee shops and sit there and work at a coffee shop.
And don't forget your business plan. If you don't have a business plan, you can't create exactly what Vanessa said. She's talking about looking at stats and you did in the last 6 months. You've got to do that. You've got to have a business plan. You have to know what your goals are and what you did. So, set those goals. But if you just wing it, you'll never know where you stand. And
Well,
to answer the question about the team too, I'm sorry, Sam, is I just started a team. There are 4 of us, and it's very well planned out. It's documented between the 4 of us. We have a game plan. We have a business plan. We all have responsibilities, and we know where we stand. And we meet twice a week. And I did all of my business before I came to EXP. I'm like Vanessa. I did about $12 million in volume by myself and my assistant Shannon, who was, huge in being able to help me obtain my goals, because, there's only one of you. And so you have to do the things that make you money. And I think too, you have to decide, when is it time to hire an assistant to do the things that don't make you money. If you can't list and sell houses because you are pushing paperwork, then you need to think about hiring an assistant, or even starting a team.
Uh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no,
Stepping
go
on you.
ahead. Go ahead.
As far as teams go, I came from the number one team in Ohio, a very large team. And so when I came to EXP, I didn't want to run a team or be on a team like that any longer. So my team is myself and my personal assistant. I collaborate with other people, but I don't have a team per se. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. The one thing that I think is so important before starting a team or beginning a team is understanding what your why for starting a team. What I've noticed is a lot of people will start a team or join a team based on what they think their production is going to do versus what they're really willing to do. And in my team, I want certain things done a certain way. So my team is best set with just a personal assistant and myself. And that's just the way I've run. And I do about $16 million a year on average. And I'm very happy with that production, the way it is. And the other ability I have with being at EXP, and the revenue share offsets anything that I would have wanted to gain with the team.
Well, and for me, it's me, and I have a transaction manager. I do, the last 4 years, I've done between 40 and 60 transactions a year. And I have my husband too. He does a lot of showing. He does farm and ranch. He brings the farm and ranch business to our business. That's about 30 to 40% of our business. So, and I can tell you, I'm with you, Sam. I was a team leader at Brand X. And I did that for many years, and I saw a lot of people join teams, and they join them for the wrong reasons, and they hire them for the wrong reasons. So same thing. If you're one of the best advice I've ever heard anybody say that created a dynamic team is, it was his responsibility to make sure that his team was successful and had enough business. Because if you don't provide that lead generation for your agents, so if you're going to join a team, make sure you have more than enough business to let flow to your other agents, your buyer's agents or listing agents.
I totally agree. Yes, I totally agree. Because if you don't have that, you're giving them a portion of nothing.
Right.
And you have to have leadership, and you have, aren't we very OCD about our business? We like the way we do it. And I think the hardest thing for me was handing over my business to someone else and trusting that whatever they do with it is okay. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't help them and guide them and say, this is the way as a team we need to do certain things. But it's very sometimes to hand over your business that you've worked so hard for, and built a reputation and built your own business. We're the CEO, right? And it's very hard to do, but I agree with you there. You've got to do that.
Any questions?
Sam, I think somebody was asking how you leveraged the rev share system for your team.
So really it's about relationships, and this is what I found everywhere. We talk about lead generation all the time. I haven't purchased leads in more than a decade. It's just not the way I do business, because what I do is I work on the relationship. Someone talked about the coffee shop. I have a very nice office that I rent, right? I'm in a Mayberry type town. We have a town square, and it's really vibrant. and I'm on the square in my office, but I go to the coffee shop every single day. I spend an hour there, and someone was there this morning and they said, "You're always here. Is this your office?" And they kind of laughed, and I said, "In a sense." But that relationship building is really key for me. I sold the coffee shop owner her house and sold her previous home. And those relationships always continue to build. And I'm not afraid to ask for referrals. And a lot of times I don't have to ask. And it's the same thing with agents. I teach profit first. And if you haven't read the book, it's another phenomenal book especially for young agents to learn how to allocate their money properly. But when I teach those things, I teach them for free. And what happens, I'm teaching one at our casino here in front of 200 people on Valentine's Day. What happens is those people that are maybe, brand X or small brokerage or even other big national brokerages, doesn't matter. What they see is I'm providing value. And that's the other thing, is I always lead with value. If I'm going to ask you for anything, I've already given you something. And it's not because I want you to be in my debt. It's because I want you to see that I truly have value to provide. So with leveraging that, it's really about, what can I do for other people that they want to come to me? And I don't have to send out those blanket emails to people I don't know to talk about EXP. I've already started the conversation. A lot of times they're reaching out to me to bring forth other, expound the conversation we're having about Profit First or the 12-week year or 36 to life or whatever it is that we're teaching.
I couldn't agree with you more, Sam. So I'm such an invaluable resource to my clients. I was actually in Mexico over Christmas, and I had a client that said, "Vanessa, I don't know where to go for New Year's Eve. I can't get in anywhere." I said, "Okay, great. You want to get in somewhere? How about Capital Grille?" She said, "Absolutely." I texted everybody, got everybody in. They went to dinner on New Year's Eve, and they went into my wine locker, had a bottle of wine on me. And that value right there, we long closed their house, but I'm that resource for no matter what it is. So I can get them in places and do things for other people that most agents can't or won't take the time to do. So I don't buy leads either. So everything for me is SOI. I literally make myself so invaluable to my current clients that there's no way I wouldn't get something. Like, if anybody knows Torchy's Tacos, I do a lot of the executives. I took wine to each of them. And guess what? 3 more new executives are coming in, and I've already helped them buy homes this past week. So that was just because I said, "Hey, here, I dropped off a bottle of wine." I'm noted for just kind of saying hello, and I don't really do traditional pop buys or anything like that. I do gratitude jars and different things through the year that just says, "Hey, I'm thinking about you, and I just want you to know how thankful I am for you." So I think if you really look at who your people are in your circle and in your sphere, and do the things that speak to you, don't do things that are not authentically to your personality and to your character. So that's kind of how I do things, and I think it works, and I teach that to a lot of people, and I give a lot of classes away just as Sam does. So I think if you're doing that for people out there, be it agents or clients, you'll find that you will create a loyalty and a following no matter what the market or lead sources are doing or saying.
Same with me. My clients. I think one other thing that I used to teach agents is, because when you first get into business, you go and you take all these classes and you try to do all of them. Pick one that resonates to you, like Vanessa was saying. Pick one that will get you business. Master it first. Go master open houses. Go master door knocking. Master your database. Your database is your foundation first. Pick one thing. Go master it. Once you master it, then you can introduce another lead gen into your business. But to me, the foundation is your database. You got to lay that foundation before you go out and get all creative and do all this marketing stuff. So for me, like, I don't have a brand. I just use eXp Realty. My clients, I've gone through a couple brokerages, and they don't care. They're like, "Whatever's good for you, we're coming with you." So now I will never leave eXp, best brokerage I've ever been with. FYI, and I'm a licensed broker, as a lot of us are. So it's the best model I've ever been with. Any other questions? We're coming up at 3 after 11 here.
Yes, I have a question if you don't mind.
Go ahead, Sam.
No, this is
Or
Jose.
Jose. Oh, Jose,
Yes.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I noticed that you mentioned, I guess the question will be for all four of you. You mentioned that you're in the 40s and 50 transactions per year. One of the troubles that I had, I just joined DXP, by the way. So one of the troubles that I had with the previous company, where it's always been mostly trouble because I carry somewhere between 7 to 10 listings per year, totaling usually about 15, 16 transactions per year. I could never break that 20. One of the troubles that I had was being that since I carry listings, my trouble was the amount of calls that I get from buyers on those listings. And since I didn't have a team, how do you handle that in being that you're already at that level of 40 and 50 transactions per year? How do you handle that situation, or how have you managed that situation since you don't have a team? Can you share with us?
Jose, I don't have a team, and I do, like I said, 40 to 60 transactions a year. And believe it or not, I'm 75% buyers. So I know when people hear that, they're like, wait a minute, you're supposed to be listing to last and all this other things. I defy everything that says what you're supposed to do in real estate to be successful. I've kind of been on the liar of that. So I think that you have to do what works for you. I also think that if you're not taking advantage of every one of those calls, change them into a buyer. Just because they're calling on your house that you have listed doesn't mean that house is for them. So many times I go ahead and transition them into another home. So therefore I've sold that home and the seller's home, and it's 3 transactions, sometimes 4, because they may have something else to sell. So I think that you've just got to look at what you're doing and not maybe taking the time that you have the availability. If you're only doing 7 to 10 listings a year, you've got the availability and time to be able to take those calls and make them your client and your buyer. I'm in Austin, Texas. Gina.
And I'll tell you what I do. I have some agents that are co-associates in my area that I know very well and trust very well. If I can't handle that lead, I actually hand it off to them, and we have an agreement on a referral. If they're leads, like I get leads from my KB Core, I'm sure y'all do too, and sometimes I just don't have time to convert them. I can nurture them all day long, but I will hand those off and see if somebody else can convert them, because I know that's not my strength. My strength is face to face and building that trust very quickly when in front of me. So
I think too.
go ahead.
I was going to say, I think too that if you're struggling with getting a lot of buyers, because I'm like Vanessa, most of my business was buyers before I came to EXP. Now I've switched to listings because I'm a broker now. So my obligation as a broker is to be available to my West Virginia agents. So showing property all day for me is not a very good option. But what I did before I came to EXP was I blocked days on my calendar that I just showed property. So for example, if I had buyers that wanted to see property on the weekends, I chose one day that I would work on a weekend. And 99% of the time, buyers accepted that. Of course, there are going to be situations that buyers are in town, for a certain amount of time and blah, blah, blah. But I blocked that time, and it kept me sane, and it added some good structure to my schedule and my life.
I love that, and what I'm hearing and what I've implemented when my business got really strong, it's when I got confidence in myself and my abilities, and decided to use that as I have very specific standards. Trent Smith just asked tips on getting buyers off their butts and finally picking something or getting pre-approved. This goes to my standards. So I set the expectation at my buyer's consultation or at my listing presentation. And the way I do that is I decide who do I not want to work with. And when we come from that scarcity mindset, maybe we bend the rules a little bit, but I don't work with difficult people. And I know in real estate, that kind of sounds funny because a lot of people can be difficult, but I define difficulty differently. And that is, if I tell you that we should list this property at this price in order to get the sale in the specific time amount that you want, and you won't do that, I am not your listing agent. I will come be the second listing agent and sell the house when the first listing agent does not do what should be done. Same thing with buyers. If I have a buyer that won't get a pre-approval, after they get a pre-approval, we can speak again. And it's about setting those standards. So when you do that, and to the question of how do you do that with only 7 or 8 listings, you set the standard and people will start to appreciate what you're capable of doing more.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You know
Show
what?
your value. That creates your value.
I've done things a little bit differently than Sam. I actually, anytime I wanted to see it, I would meet the buyer right away. I'd be like, great, let me meet you at the house you want to see. I kind of have a superpower where I'm very good at narrowing it down in 3 houses, literally. So I'll meet them wherever they want me to meet them. And then I'll say, hey, I have some ideas, and take them. And if they have not been pre-approved, I will pull my lender on the phone at that very minute. If they're serious, they're going to take that call with the lender I tell them to talk to right then and there. So I kind of take the bull by the horns a little bit differently. I'm not scared to meet people. I know that I might get slapped when I say this, but I don't do buyers presentations. Again, most of my stuff is Sphere or the referrals, and the ones that have called me off off my signs, I'm going to go meet them, because once I get in front of somebody, they're not going to choose another agent. I had a difficult client who decided that he wasn't going to tell me he wasn't going to use me, but he told all his friends that use me, and they were like, ooh, you're not smart. But he went to 10 other agents, called me back as the 11th agent and said, you know what? I just realized your value. Nobody knows what you know. You know more of what is going on in the market, what commercial properties are coming. You could tell me everything that was happening in a particular radius. So I think it's important that you know your market and you show your value. So I think if you're doing all of that, when people are there to work with you, they know that you're serious about what you do, and then they become serious as well. But you have to be confident in that, and you have to stand true in who you are.
Well, and I love that too, because that is a standard for you then and I always laugh and say, I don't, I'll read the book and I'll take maybe 80% of it, but I'm not going to follow your pattern 100% because it's not, like you said, genuinely me. So the fact that you'll do it differently, that speaks everything about what I want to hear from an agent is, hey, I like that you do that, but I'm not comfortable with that. Let me do it this way.
Right. Your personality has a lot to do with how you work.
I think that's right, Lori and Sam. I mean, we're all individuals, and who I'm attracted to as a client, or a client that's attracted to me, is probably not the same that's attracted to you. That's why there is enough business for everybody out there, and people come to you. They don't care the name of your company or whatever, but I'm like, I'm not moving. I love EXP. I wish I knew this in the beginning, because it is set up literally for the entrepreneur and somebody who is going to go out there and blaze a trail. We're all about blazing our own trail and making our own path. So if you're willing to do that, that's what real estate is about. Real estate's out there about figuring out how to do it. You do everything within the code of ethics, but make sure that you're doing it in a way that's authentically you. People know that you have integrity when you show up as your authentic self. When you try to do somebody else, it doesn't work, and they're going to know you're doing somebody else when you don't show up as yourself.
Very true. Very true. Because I've tried different things with buyers and sellers, and I think trying different things is what helped me figure out what worked for me and my personality. Our business is relationship based, and you will attract what you put out there. So, Sam has the way he loves to do things, and Vanessa does too, and so do I. But it all has to do with our personalities, and what we put out there is the type of client that we will attract. And there are people that I won't work with, like Sam said, be comfortable with not taking a listing. It's okay. Be the second realtor. You don't have to be the first one. It's worse to take it and do what the seller wants you to do, because then you're the bad guy. Have confidence in your business and what you know. You know what you're doing.
Someone just asked us, how do you reach serious buyers and you market, and what do you use to attract them? For myself, I don't market myself at all. So I've now hired a brand manager because I want to push to the next level, and there is no way I'm going to get to 30 million plus if I am not having a brand manager and helping me. So that's what I've done this year so that I can do that. I'll tell you next year what those secrets are. Right now, I'm in beta testing.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I don't market myself either. Mine is basically sphere of influence, totally. So marketing myself, I tell you, I use the Brian Buffini system. So I send out the flyers every month. I send out personal notes, make phone calls. I don't do it 100% because I'm really bad about pop buys, but the flyers, all my clients love them. They tell me all the time, don't stop sending them. So it's just keeping my name in front of the people, and it just grows my base.
I think also there's a couple things that I've done. I randomly, since we're not that far from Waco, I've actually called people and said, hey, who wants to go see Joanna Gaines? Let's go. So I'll take a carload of people to do something like that, or I'll take them to wine tasting. I do things that are a little bit differently and out of the ordinary, and people love that. They're saying, hey, when are we going to do that next time? So I think if you, again, figure out what's good for you and what works, I think that'll help you. I've taken people to Fredericksburg on a wine bus.
Yeah, I do client parties. Last year I did 2. I do about 2 a year. So, and I'm going to tell you, I probably call. It gives me a chance to call my database twice. I send out an invite, then I call them, and then I call them right before the event. So I'll say I call about 80 to 90 people that I invite. And my database is not big. It's like 130 people, 140 people. So I'll call and maybe 30 will show up, maybe 20 sometimes. But the whole point of that is to say, hey, I appreciate you. And I get to talk to them twice. And I get my title rep is really good at going, okay, let's get your client appreciation party organized. So and I get vendors to help me with it. So it's been great.
The other thing I do, I'm trying to think of how I market myself, specifically myself. I don't. And it was something that I used to think I really needed to, but what I found is I'm just very, very active in what I want to do. I have 2 sons in high school, 1 in middle school. They all play in different bands. They're very musically talented. I'm not, but I get very involved with that, and I help tremendously with that. I'm involved with a couple nonprofits here. I started a turkey drive 5 years ago for Feeding Medina County, really by accident. And now it's become one of those really big things that we do on the square every year. And what I've noticed is I don't ever need to promote myself if I promote someone else. And I'm always trying to find ways to promote, especially small business. Our community is really immersed in small business, and we do the shop at home and different events like that. So I try to always boost them up. I have a web page called Funky Cold Medina instead of Medina. If you guys are old enough to remember the song in 1989, they never trademarked the phrase. I trademarked it. We have a Facebook page called Funky Cold Medina, and all we do on there is promote other things that are happening in our community, other businesses. I own a Matterport camera, so we went to every business in Medina and offered to shoot their business for free. And they put it on their website, and it basically links back to my real estate team, which, like I said, is myself and my assistant. But what I found is promoting myself. There's probably 500 agents within 20 miles of me. they're all promoting themselves, and that's great. That's if it works for them. But what I found is if I'm promoting other people, I never have to promote myself.
I agree 100% with Sam. I live in a small community outside of Austin, but I know all the local businesses. I go in there, I chat with them, and this year we're going to be interviewing each one of them. And they've all kind of chosen dates and times where they want to be interviewed, just so that we can say, hey, if you've not been in here, because no one really knows each other unless you're going to go out there and promote each other.
Yeah, we just started the same thing. We just started a YouTube channel, and we have a list of local businesses that we are going to be visiting, doing the same exact thing that you're talking about. We started our YouTube channel just about a month ago, and it's called It's a Beautiful Neighborhood. And we are going to go to different businesses and just sit and chat and introduce ourselves and introduce the other business to our community.
I actually just started a Nevada network page, which is essentially the same thing. Once a week, I'll interview a small business and talk about them and who they are and introduce myself as well. So did you have any suggestions on topics or how to approach some of these businesses and asking them to participate in something like that?
As for like my coffee shops and the like cool little food places and stuff like that, I go in and just say, hey, what's the dish of the day or something like that? What is your favorite thing you like to cook and or serve or what have you on that? And then we just kind of chat about that. As for my little boutique vendors, it's what are you doing? Like why did you get into this? It's more about finding out about them because they're there working the business themselves. So they did this because it's their passion. So when you speak in terms of people's passions, it comes out. Let them bring what they want you to ask them. Find their passion. And it makes it easy and flawless.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, guys, it's 11:20. If there's any other questions, let us know. I'm gonna bag out. I'm sorry. I'm literally putting stuff in boxes trying to clean out this house. We're closing at 4:30 today. So bad timing for
Good
me.
luck, Bernie. I'll hang here for a little bit and see if anybody else needs anything.
All right. Well, it's great being on this great panel with y'all, and we'll see you guys at the next EXP stakeholders, shareholders meeting.
Thanks, Bernie.
Bye, Bernie.
Bye, Bernie.
Bye.
So I just had somebody say, what is the best way for an introvert to be successful? Again, Samuel, the most important thing that you can do is to be yourself. So I'm actually what's called an omnivert. I am very extroverted when I'm out with people or in a very comfortable situation for myself. However, if I'm not comfortable, I'm very introverted and I won't talk and I will watch. So you have to go to places or do things that fit your personality. So that's why I always did coffee shops because I always felt very comfortable in them because I owned one. So for me, it was my natural go-to. It was like, ooh, I'm kind of a confessed coffee shop junkie. So, that's where, when I make that part of myself and who I am. Like I literally in my Instagram says I'm a confessed coffee shop junkie. So I think that you've got to find what's you. I'm also known for my shoes. So a lot of times it is a starter. Like I can walk in anywhere and probably 10 times a day get commented on my shoes. So it's a real easy conversation starter. Find that thing that's you.
Well, and I can't speak necessarily or definitively to the introvert because I'm not. My wife laughs and says I've never met a stranger, and it is the way I am. But I work with I was at a networking group last night with someone who is a self-described introvert, and I said, go find the other introverts, go find the other people that are not comfortable walking up to a stranger, and again, it's about finding what you like or what you resonate with or what relates to you. I think that's true no matter what the question is. I'm a veteran. I've never met a veteran that I wasn't able to relate to in some way. So it makes it a lot easier when you're not looking to impress someone that's not within, what you do or what you know. Go find the people that you know. They're the greatest people to relate to, I believe.
I agree with that too. I think if you are into anything like, I don't know, dog training, or if you run marathons, those are the people that you go to hang out with and get business from, and they'll refer business to you because they trust you.
An agent here who's an icon, Sarah Williams, her dog Carlos goes everywhere with her. And I'm not kidding you. Carlos is just as famous as she is. Carlos goes to closings. Carlos goes everywhere. She started pretty much, Carlos is in every picture, everything, all the way through. So Carlos is wearing sunglasses, driving in the front seat with her. She's a little bit more on an introverted level. And that's how she does it. She takes her dog everywhere and her dog starts the conversation. So again, you got to work with I think.
And then Michelle just asked favorite resources that we utilize. Here's the problem with real estate sometimes is someone asked a question at a mastermind I was at, and they said, what's the best CRM that's out there? And he said, it's the one you use. And I'm sure we've all heard that, but that's really so true. I love KV Core. It took me a little while to buy into it because I was kind of being lazy. And what I realize is whatever I will actually sit down, learn, and use and implement is what works for me really well. I use KV Core. I don't use the full platform, but I think it's probably one of the greatest things that we have because it is. I like something that we can lead generate and capture into our CRM with. So that's the big thing. Obviously, Folio, if you guys aren't using that, it was a very easy one for me to communicate with my assistant with, and little things. But again, about those resources, it's to me, it's about what you will use. It doesn't matter what the expense is. I see a lot of brand new agents or younger, newly to the business that are spending money before they're making money, and I think that's kind of I think that's where there's a lot of failure. And we talk about the number of real estate agents that stay in the business after their first year. And I think it has a lot to do with the way they're taught, how they have to spend this exorbitant amount of money on these resources. And really, you can do a lot of these things for free or next to nothing. So for me, whatever's available to me, I'm going to use.
Totally agree. There are too many free outlets to do that. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. There are just so many free things out there. And then, of course, KV Core, those squeeze pages are amazing.
I agree with both of that. Don't spend the money if you don't have it. I mean, there's stuff like I'm telling you, I'm just hiring a brand manager and it's my 9th year in the business. I just feel I'm to that point now, even though that I could have a while back. I just didn't feel like I was ready for it or would have embraced it the way I think I'm ready to do so now. So use the resources that are free and the ones that you'll use. Because if you won't use it when it's free, you sure aren't going to use it when you pay for it. A brand manager,
And I
somebody
think
that's,
everyone's path is different. Go ahead.
I was going to say, somebody just asked what a brand manager is. It's somebody who's going to do all my social media and all of that. I don't toot my own horn. I don't really say much of anything. Every now and then I'll put something up, but she's the one that's going to do it. She, like, again, I said I'm known for my shoes, and I'm really not kidding you. So that's what she's doing a whole sort of marketing plan on it. So that's what a brand manager is. She takes it or he takes what you are and what your business is and puts you out there. My whole tagline has always been, it's all about you. It's always all about my clients.
I was going to say too, I think something to remember is that everyone's path is different, and don't think that any there's no set time frame that you're supposed to be at any point specifically in your career. You know, things happen in your life, and sometimes your life will take a different turn. So, you know, the amount of time it took me to get where I am may be different for you. And so just remember that everyone's path is different, and everyone's path will take the amount of time it's supposed to take, and you will realize when it's time to take the next step. It will be obvious and evident.
Guys, what other questions do you have for us? We are totally here for you. So it's your time to really bombard us with any other questions y'all have.
Hi there. I'm Cynthia Papora in Sarasota, Florida. And I had a question about what types of parties you have for your clients, your client appreciation parties.
Like I was saying, for me, I don't technically have a party. I will say, ooh, I know this person really loves wine, or this person really loves Joanna Gaines, or this person really likes going to Round Top. So I kind of do personal things. So I'll take a small group, and I usually know who will get along with who. And I take them, and it's a very good way of just kind of not really having a big client party, because that stuff stresses me out. So I take small individual situations and things throughout the year. Like every month I'm doing something, but it's with a different group of people. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's great. Are there others that do appreciation parties though?
Me personally, I don't. I did try them in the past. And what I found was I was spending a lot of money, and there was not a lot of return on it. And I wasn't as comfortable. I wasn't as comfortable doing that as I just, it didn't resonate with me the same way it has with other agents. So it's just something I stopped doing pretty early on.
Thank you very much
I've,
for
I've,
sharing.
I've not done that either, mostly because the relationships that I live in a very small town. So we pretty much know everyone in some capacity. So, you know, the amount of business I was doing before I became a broker, I was completely enthralled in with the business, and it just kept coming and kept coming. But I could see how it could be a really nice thing to do, especially in small communities. Sure.
So you guys see how there's 3 of us up here that we're all icon agents, and all 3 of us really don't do client appreciation parties. So again, we do our business what works for us and how it works for our personalities, but we're always touching our clients, but respectively in different ways. So remember that you can be successful in your way. You are the CEO of your business. Once you get yourself underway, it's easy to get your business underway. I do have coaches. For me, I actually do coaches a little bit differently. I'm going to a Mind Valley coaching session all day Saturday. So I blocked out an entire day because Mind Valley was going to be here. And I felt that if I'm going to be better for my family, myself, or anyone else out there, I have to make sure that I'm getting something that speaks to all of me, which is my mind, my soul, and my body. So those are the kind of coaches that I go after. Truthfully, none of them are real estate coaches. And I also do have a life coach.
I have a real estate coach, and that person was someone that took my business to the next level and taught me how to be the CEO of my business. I think that coaches can be very instrumental, and I think it can be a really good investment in your own business and bring more to the table for you and your clients. But just for myself personally, I've just started this year with, a fitness coach and trying to get on track that way. So I think it's good to have different people in your lives that help guide you and coach you and smack you on the hand occasionally and say, stop doing that. You need to do this.
Yeah, I love that. I have a coach that's a full-time coach. And on the coaching topic, Trent just asked, how do you pick a coach? And too many fakes out there. Absolutely. Here's what I hated about coaching, and not to pick on any company specifically, but what I found was a lot of coaching companies, what they do is I'm a certified life coach. I'm a certified executive coach. So what happens is I get recruited probably on a every 3-day basis from a different company promising me how how they'll build my business, and then you would give them 40%. And so what they do is they put you kind of in a slot. Someone comes and says, I need a coach, and they say, well, we're going to fit you with the best coach. And that, what I found, isn't true. They fit you with who's up next. And I think it's a horrible way of doing business, because I want to connect with the people that I can connect with. So, and what those companies are banking on is if you just get into action, you will be successful. And most coaches can get you into action, so it can bring success to a certain level. I don't subscribe to that for myself. My coach's name is Hank Avink. He's at EXP, phenomenal guy. Love him. And he's not for everyone. He certainly can turn
Love
a lot of
Hank.
people. Yeah, a lot of people. And here's what you'll get from Hank, or hearing of Hank, is people love him or people hate him, and he embraces that, and that is why he's my coach. Now, I also don't believe that a coach is going to do everything. He told me that if I needed him to hold me accountable, then I'd have to fly him out here once a month. Avink, Avink, for Blue, that just asked for his name. But the other thing I do is very event-driven opportunities. I went to Wake Up Warrior, and they have a woman's version, and I apologize, I can't think of it right now. But those things I try to do at least once or twice a year. I went to Break Free Academy and a few of those things, and it's really a mindset boost. I come back from those things, and I think if you went to anytime we go to one of our conventions, whether it be with the company I was with previously, immediately when I would come back, I would see a big change in my business for the better. I would have a big spike. Why? Because it reset me. It allowed me to adopt new ideas. And it allowed me to look at things differently. And sometimes other people were really instrumental in showing me those things. Sometimes even not purposefully, but I like to think that coaching is more about me than it ever was the coach. And that's why I think it's very important that you choose the coach based on what you want to obtain and what you want to make sure that they're able to deliver.
I think
Go ahead, Lori.
you got to make sure you really take the time and take the money and and invest in going to our EXP events, the shareholder summit coming up, EXP Con. You'll be shocked at what you learn, and you'll be shocked at, like Sam just said, you'll come back and then all of a sudden you'll be ready to go, and you'll have all these great ideas, and you may not have the money to invest into a real estate coach or anything like that. Take the time and take the money and go to at least one EXP event a year, because it will make a difference in your business when you get back.
EXP events absolutely make a huge difference in your business. There's no question about that. I've become a huge referral agent here in Texas, and I think I did one of the first where it was like all of us were EXP. It was a referral from Nashville agent to me on the south side, and I was the EXP agent here. Then there was a referral from Florida on the buyer side, and it just all happened that this house was the same people selling and the same people buying. It was a perfect case scenario. It was the easiest transaction I think I've done probably in years. And EXP won all the way around. The agents got paid. They were like, wow, this was cool. They got paid at closing, everything. So I think you wouldn't be doing that. And you can find other icons who are possibly willing to coach you for nothing. And I don't mean by nothing, but meaning that you'll be accountable. The yearly event is in Vegas and this year in Orlando. Orlando shareholders, Vegas is our EXP Con. So make sure you're setting your money aside for that if you can't afford a coach. And sometimes it's just finding somebody who clicks with you. 100% that what Sam says. You can't have a coach that doesn't not only push you but also clicks with you. And you don't want a yes coach, which is going to tell you everything you're doing is perfect. You want the person who's going to push you out of your comfort zone. And that's what I love about Hank. So, and then somebody asked, how do you get your buyers up here to get the pre-approved to get off the fence? Are you creating a sense of urgency? You may not be creating a sense of urgency, enthusiasm, and finding that perfect property. Like I literally will research everything till I find the perfect property. Tell them to send you, doesn't matter if it's a sold house, it's an HGTV house, doesn't matter. Find out what their inspiration house is, then go find that in your version, in your MLS, in their area.
I got to bug out. I have a meeting with my team. I love you guys. Thank you for having us.
Have a great day.
Yeah, have a great day. Guys, I'm almost out of here. I got to go show a property too. So is there anything else? I've got like 5 minutes left that I can offer.
Thank you very much for your advice and wisdom.
Thank you guys for coming. We really appreciate it. You know, we're all here to help you. And I know that Sam's got some amazing things. Hank's his coach. So I want to sit and chat with Sam more.
Well, you guys can all reach out anytime. I'll post, well, here. You can find me, Sam Livingston, at Facebook. How about that?
Yeah, we can find you on Workplace too. So
There you
I
go,
think
or on Workplace.
you can reach out to any of us on Workplace. I always answer. So you never have to worry about it. You will get a response and pretty quickly.
Thank you very much for all your help.
You're very welcome. Guys, have a wonderful day. Go out and kick some butt today.